Black Ops 2 gave us some of the most ambitious zombies maps we've ever seen, including TranZit. TranZit was a letdown to the community, with lava, fog, and denizens being a constant annoyance. These annoyances were necessary at the time, but that was 2012, and we're about to enter the big 26. And with technology we have now, we're able to get a better TranZit, and it's not from Treyarch, which brings us to today's video, Return to TranZit, made by Verco. Now, the full map isn't released quite yet, but you can play some of the survival maps like Bus Depot, Tunnel, Diner, and the most recent one, Farm. Now, as you can see, this isn't a one-to-one remake. It's set before the moon Easter egg and before the bombs, blew up the earth and turned it into a wasteland. So you have this overgrown look to the world, and it's awesome. Verco also expanded the playable areas, such as underground bunkers for each location. And with these expansions comes lore, and that is what we're going to be exploring today. So come aboard and let's ride the bus one more time as we return to TranZit. And of course, we're going to start with the bus depot. As you can see, the spawn room is already trashed, like there was some sort of emergency. Despite it setting before the moon Easter egg, we see luggage bags and clothes laying around, and even newspapers written in German? And I have a theory about this that I'll come back to later. I found an Arc Melody poster, and I thought it was like some sort of organization that I didn't know about, until I looked it up. When I did, I found a really dope track called Weapons of War by Scalv, which is the artist that made the round change music, because each survival map has its own round change music. You can also find CDs of Weapons of War laying around the room. It's a really neat touch. Moving outside, you see destroyed cars and debris littering the streets. All this evidence points to an outbreak that happened before you play the map. In Prospect Garage across the street, you find bullet casings and more newspapers written in German, as well as missing posters on a corkboard. Maybe before the outbreak, people would go missing due to the experiments going on here. There's also a mysterious for sale sign on the wall, but I can't quite make out what it's supposed to say. There's already a ton of detail on this map, so I don't think it really matters. You can also see the overgrown aesthetic, like this place has been abandoned for a significant amount of time. One of the expanded areas is a bunker next to the bus stop. Now, this was present in the original, but only as a zombie barrier, and you couldn't explore it. But now, you can. It's very small though, but trust me, there is more to come. Consider this a small bite of a bigger meal coming. Again, you see bullet casings like there was a fight, and debris littering the ground. That's all I found on Bus Depot. Now, onto Tunnel. Again, right off the bat, you see more evidence of an outbreak. Destroyed cars of people possibly trying to escape. There's also evidence of people trying to live. This is backed up by the fact that there's a clothesline hanging up. Now, in the finished version, the tunnel isn't supposed to be blocked, so maybe the people thought it would be a good idea to camp out in the tunnel for a time, but they would soon realize that this was a bad idea. Now, Tunnel wasn't a survival map in Black Ops 2 because it was so bare bones, but Verco greatly expanded this area, and with great detail too. On each side of the tunnel, you can open a door which was originally a zombie barrier that leads deeper and deeper. You see bloody trails on the ground. In this room off to the side, you see a Desert Eagle with big old bullets lying next to it, and the deeper you go, the more gory it gets. You see a bloody staircase, body parts littering the ground, unfired bullets, and even an emergency light overhead. The staircase leads to a room with element 115 on the ground and on the shelves. It even covers the shovel used to extract it from the earth. Another odd find is you can see blueprints to the moon base on the bench over here. You see it labeled Griffin Station, and even had the biodome and MPD marked. This room opens up to a bigger cave with element 115 glowing on the ground in abundance. You can even see a catwalk over a giant pit of lava. Don't worry, the lava will stay down there and just be another pretty thing to look at on this map. This leads us to another little bunker with the power switch, and you can see more evidence of a fight. More bullet casings and human remains. The usual. Now, I didn't no clip and walk through each zombie barriers, but I didn't find anything of significance. Just some awesome ambience. Now, leaving this room leads to a small room that looks out of place. To me, it looks like an old mine with wooden planks holding up the walls. which is very different compared to the bunker and sewer that surround it. Maybe it'll make sense later. From here leads to a sewer. Verco says in the final cut of the map you can take this way all the way to Diner, so you don't have to rely on the bus route. There's also this big area off to the side, and you can just see them extracting element 115 from the earth, and it offers a decent training spot too. And yeah, that is Tunnel, and now we move on to Diner. In the spawn room, we see not one, but 2 broken walls. More evidence of an outbreak, and more missing people posters on the wall. We also see this mysterious poster. I'm pretty sure I've seen this before, maybe on Doris or something. I don't know, let me know in the comments below. In the diner itself, we see a wanted poster for Crazy Eagle Clive. I don't know the significance of this guy. I looked it up and found a video of a bald eagle surviving a hurricane. I don't think this is what it's referencing, but I don't know. Next to that, there's a poster for Speed Cola and a bunch of stitched together license plate that reads, "Outsiders will burn. Only strong survive." And right next to those, some cookies. Perhaps they were put here sometime after the outbreak, or maybe the original inhabitants of the town just went crazy from the overabundance of 115 mining. Like the last 2 maps, we get an expanded area behind the diner. This swampy marsh gives off Shinonuma vibes to me, with the mud and the little wooden bridges to avoid it. And this leads to a cave that leads to a bunker and has the power switch. Now it's also worth mentioning that the power switches I've mentioned are only for the survival maps, and in its place in the final cut will be pack-a-punch switches. That way you don't gotta build a turbine and leave it by a door and hope zombies don't break it. Going through the bunker some more loops back around to the main diner area. Also added is this trailer park area, and it gives me early Walking Dead vibes with the survivors shacking up in an RV, confused and figuring out what to do next. A weird detail here is they have Christmas lights strung up. I don't know what to make of it other than quirks of a trailer park dweller. Coming around the back, we find element 115 poking up out of the earth nonchalantly. More evidence of the inhabitants going crazy and turning into a full-blown outbreak. Now, one thing to mention is that I went out of bounds for all these survival maps just to see if I can get a full scope of the map, and of course he's not going to have like the other areas like rendered in each survival map. That would just eat up a bunch of data for a smaller map, but you can actually see a bit of town. Now of course he's not done with it, so this is not what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look way better than this, but it's just nice to see what he plans to add. You see this like new like bus stop waiting area, and it looks kind of cool. And then you can also walk into the church, but of course it's empty right now. And next we're on the farm, and we spawn into the out of bounds area in the original TranZit. There's nothing to note here other than the stunning visuals. So moving forward, the barn is pretty normal looking. Growing up in the Midwest, there's a lot of old barns and large fields, so this looks pretty normal for me. Until we move upstairs, we see bloody footprints, and lots of them. Now this gives me heavy Walking Dead vibes. Next to this, we have a smaller barn slash garage thing with a German truck with a bar cross symbol on it. Now this symbol was used by the German army in World War II. The truck itself looks like an Opel Blitz, a very strange thing to see in northwestern America. Going outside, we see the gift from the gods. Corn. Next to this, we see a little shed with an ominous red light. No clipping out here, we see a stack of boxes under a tarp with German writing on it. Now this leads heavily into my theory that I'll get to later on, but that's not all in this room, because in the corner is a teddy bear floating in the air looking at you. I felt like I just got caught finding something I'm not supposed to when I first played this. Like I was playing the map and wondering what was going on in this room, and you cannot see the bear from the outside. It was an awesome feeling finding this on my own. Now in the main house, we see bloody footprints all over the porch and in the living room, with big old holes taken out of the wall. It paints the picture that this place was overrun by a massive horde, and high rounding on this map personally, I believe it. Next to the front door is a radio reminiscent of Knocked, and it really takes me back to those times where zombies was shrouded in mystery and rumors. Now the radio plays through random stations, but it's all a bunch of gibberish, and I don't really think it's playing anything of significance. Next to the TV, we see a bundle of dynamite. We'll see what this is intended for in a bit. Upstairs, we see a KRM shotgun on the table with some shells next to it. On the couch next to Speed Cola, we see a picture of a futuristic city with 2 more pictures under the couch, but they are flipped over and we can't see them. Interestingly, on the wall we see the outline where these pictures go up. Also, this wall is blown out like we see in TranZit, and it makes me believe that there was heavy pushback against the zombies. What also makes me believe this is that there's a dead guy with an LMG next to him. I don't see any markings on this guy for me to assign him to a group, so it might just be a part of whatever organization is behind the secret bunkers and possibly the outbreak. In classic Verco fashion, Farm has an expansion in the form of a bunker, as well as the areas behind the house and barn respectively, and entering the bunker on either side has a smaller bunker that has supplies and signs of a struggle. They both also enter into a mine shaft, just like the small one in Tunnel. This one is a lot bigger, and of course has 115 all around it. It also has blocked off areas, and I have an idea of where they might lead. Going deeper into the mine, we came into a third bunker, again like the one in Tunnel. It is littered with supplies and bloodstains all over, and it goes deeper to a power switch. This also has a blocked path that I believe will either lead to town or Noct or maybe even the power station. I also believe that at least one of these blocked paths in the mine shaft connects to Noct, because if you no-clip, it pretty much leads to an opening just outside Noct, providing more ways to get around the map once it's finished and released. Farm is the latest survival map from Verco, and exploring around this map specifically was a blast, because the next survival map dropping is Noct, and I can't wait to see his take on the classic. And if you want to be featured in Noct, I'll leave his Patreon in the description, as well as the map download pages. You see, all the graffiti Verco added were names from his Patreon. And he's also going to be adding graffiti to Noct, just like in D Machine. And yeah, that is the entirety of Farm Explored. Now we get to go into what I'm most excited to talk about, which is theory time. Now, I don't personally believe this theory, but I'm just going to go ahead and get into it anyway, is that it is under German occupation. Now, the evidence I have for this is you have the German newspapers littered all over the maps, as well as the blueprints through the MPD and the tunnel, and plus the German World War II trucks, as well as the crates written in German. Now, I personally don't believe this theory, mostly because like everything else is in English, so why would only these specific things be in German and not everything else? I mean, like the diner sign. Like, come on, that's not in German, of course. Which leads me to my next and most plausible theory, is that this is under Operation Paperclip, or at least it's Operation Paperclip in real life. In the game lore, it is Operation Stapler. So basically, if you don't know what Operation Paperclip is, it is after World War II. Both America and the Soviet Union took some German scientists from Germany, you know, 1940s German, I can't say the word on YouTube, but they brought in the 1940s German scientists to their side. Now, the reason why I think it's more Operation Paperclip is, well, a few things. And I'm going to get into the lore of what TranZit is based off of, which is the Hanford site out in Washington. So TranZit is based off of the Hanford site, Washington. And pretty much, it was just a regular town. It was just known as Hanford, Washington, until 1943. The town was seized by the federal government for the Manhattan Project, which that was the secret project that made the atomic bomb. Anyway, they took Hanford, Washington, and placed down a bunch of nuclear reactors, which produced plutonium, which was used in the making of the atom bomb. So yeah, and obviously this is during the war, so Operation Paperclip wasn't active yet, because, you know, they were still fighting the war. But as y'all know, zombies lore is kind of crazy and is very, very different compared to our world. And so my theory is that they kept Hanford's site like up and running, like maybe they do other experiments, mostly experiments regarding element 115, because we see a lot of that throughout all the maps, especially in Tunnel Survival, because we've known they're mining it in Tunnel. And it's also in Tunnel that we see the MPD blueprints. And in Zombies lore, we know that Edward Richtofen pretty much predicted the ending of the war and said one half of Group 935 is going with the Americans, the other one's going with Soviet Russia, so, and the Germans with America know about the moon base, because the way we get to the moon base in the moon map is through Groom Lake, which is Area 51, which is in America, of course. And I guess the reason why it's all in German is because most of the people there are German, and it's supposed to be like this secret town that, you know, it's kind of out of the way, so there's not a lot of people going through there. But just in case, they got like a normal looking diner, just in case someone like pokes their head in and there's nothing really that they can see that's out of place. Aside if they look too closely and notice a bunch of German newspapers and the other inhabitants speaking German for some reason. But, you know, that's what I got so far. And yeah, that is the conclusion of this video. If you guys think I missed something, please let me know in the comments section below. And yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like. And please consider subscribing. I enjoy making zombie videos, so yeah, hit the like for more zombie videos, please and thank you. My name is Robbie, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.